Hey guys, this is Kim, and we are back with the SoulSense podcast. Like I said, I'm your hostess with the mostest, and we have Melvin, my trusty, rusty, dusty wingman. No, he ain't. He ain't dusty and
You a
rusty.
real piece of work.
Anyways. So, guys, um, we took about a week off. It was unplanned, but we did, and we're gonna tell y'all about it. But before we get into it, what's going on, Melvin? What's going on? Do you really want to do it? What's going on? And just that's the episode.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. What's going on? It is, man, I don't know. I guess it's been a little busy. I've been super busy. I think every time I say something on here, I'm talking about how busy I am. But yeah, really busy at work. A lot of things changing around there. But in a good way. I've just been trying to really navigate my approach to stuff. You know what I mean? Just trying not to just play my position and make sure that I'm doing what I got to do, and holding up my end of the bargain. I definitely have been, but at the same time, advocating for myself when in my team when I feel like there are things that happen outside of the realm of our control, and we are going to be held responsible for. So just being better at doing that. That's something that I'm really trying to learn how to do better is not, not be overbearing or make it into like a argument or like a power struggle type of thing because I want to be a good employee for any person whether I am an employee or I am, you're hiring me and it was my own company. I want to make sure that I am, whatever role I'm in, I'm doing that role and not trying to make it difficult for someone else to lead. But in that though, you still have to know how to advocate for yourself and how to disagree without being disagreeable. You know what I mean? Without being unruly, and just making sure that my thoughts and opinions are heard, and not coming from the thing that I think I was doing before or that I can slip into is not coming from a place of trust that my thoughts are respected. You know what I mean? So if I don't feel like I'm being respected, then that's what I do demand. And that's what I would start. That's when I start to demand respect, as opposed to just operating from a place of, we're going to be operating from a place of mutual respect, and sharing whatever it is that I have to share in that vein. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that has been what my week has been. Basically, it's been just kind of trying to get in where I fit in, but at the same time advocate for myself in a positive way when needed, and not just for myself but for my team.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
How about you?
Well, I guess we might as well just. I mean, I guess what if what's going on with me really just bleeds over into just what we're going to talk about tonight, and so I guess we'll just get right on into it. Well, guys, we just been real busy. That's really in the nutshell. Goodbye. No, no, seriously. Last week was a very unusual. Is that unusual? It was I don't know, but it was unplanned and it was very busy and it was really out of our control, honestly. And I would have to say that we tackled that week with finesse. I would have to say we tackled it with finesse. And I guess what we'll do is kind of just tell you guys what was going on and just kind of the processes that we were going through. And yeah, so what I want to first give y'all a little background on is your girl, your hostess with the mostest is a control freak. I am a planner and I am a time freak. All of this to say that I like to have my day planned out. I like to have my family organized. I'm not perfect in it. But I have had to learn and still learning how to just give myself grace when things do not work out how I want them to work out. Okay. So going into last week, we knew that our girls were going to have a dental appointment, and this was our youngest first time at the dentist. So I really didn't know how she was going to act. Our oldest has gone a few times, and so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. So, me and Melvin were talking about, we kind of have our back and forth about, like, okay, what's going on, what we need to do, and how we need to rearrange our schedule and things like that. And, we decided that both of us were going to go, and one was going to take one was going to take the other. Their appointments were staggered. Now, me being the nurse practitioner, I scheduled the little one, hers, 30 minutes earlier than the oldest. Let me tell you how that worked out. Okay. So we get there, appointment at 3:15. I sign in 3:14. They end up handing me not only the papers for the youngest, but also for the oldest. And so I'm sitting here trying to fill these papers out. So when my husband and my oldest walk in, they just sitting there Melvin like, oh, good. I ain't got to fill out nothing. And I'm like, okay.
How much papers did they give you? It was a lot for
Yeah.
both of them?
Yeah. Well, for Farah, because she didn't have as many papers, but it was still kind of like those typical papers you get when you go to the doctor. For Fallon, I had to do a whole health history on her. And God is good because that baby just sat right there, watched TV the whole time. She didn't even get wound up until she saw Farah walk through the door. She was just sitting there, and she really was about to go to sleep before y'all walked in, And so I was able to get the forms done, and I'm thinking, okay, 3:15, we're gonna get up out of here. Oh no. They take Melvin and Farrah back to the back, and me and the little one just sitting out in the waiting room, and I'm just like, okay, I've been here about 40 minutes. Okay. And the appointment was at 3:15. Okay. And I even tried, I don't know if you saw me trying to suggest to the little hygienist girl, she was first. We can go back. And she was like, no, it'll probably be better if the oldest one come back. And I'm like, you a real piece of work. Don't you see my eyes, girl?
Shout out to Tony Baker. Sorry, homie. We done.
We love
you have entered in a new couple of phrases into our family lexicon.
Yeah. So anyways, we go in. Melvin and them, meanwhile, they go in, get the little visit. They in, they out. Bye, y'all. We see y'all at the house. And I said, ain't this about something? We done got here before them and they leave it. But the little one had a good little time, you know what I'm saying? And she actually enjoyed it. Didn't freak out or nothing like that. It was quick. But we literally were the last people there. And I meant to tell you. So then when y'all walking out, and you come back, you don't beeline back. Melvin gonna sit up here and gonna be like, oh, they gonna reschedule them. And I'm thinking okay, won't you handle that? And you was like, no. You was like, well, they don't have their paperwork. The dentist says, oh, well, here's their paperwork. And then you gonna go, oh, she can get it. And I was like, ain't this better? Oh, no, she can get it. Oh, can I?
No, she didn't say here it is right here. She said, we'll get it out there in just a minute. I said, oh.
No, she was handing it to the girl to walk up. She was like, she can't walk this up there. Now you were like, no, yeah. Yeah, you're
right.
Yeah. So anyways, but you know what? Here's the lesson that was learned there. And this is how the victory was won there. Because in the past, I would have been all sorts of bent out of shape because I did my part. I got the appointments. I got there on time. I even made sure you got there on time.
You was a little mad. Was you a little mad at me that I
No, no, no.
put it first? You
No,
were?
actually, I wasn't because there was nothing that you could do about that. And it was like, I had the conscious thought in my head like, Kim, you could get mad about this. You could get frustrated about this. But I was like, what are you going to do? I mean, we actually had planned our evening for this to accommodate that. So what was the point of me getting mad? Because I'm inconvenienced? I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
yeah,
you're inconvenienced.
I'm inconvenienced, but I mean, is that going to change anything? No, it's not. It's absolutely not. So, okay, it doesn't stop there, guys. So then we go, and that evening we get home, and I noticed that our youngest Fallon, she's a little warm, and I mean, it's we in Texas, so weather is always crazy. It can be raining, it can be cool one day, then it can be 80 degrees the next day. That's just Texas weather, especially in North Texas and stuff like that. So, anyways, so she wakes up the next morning. Melvin goes up there, burning hot. Take her temperature 102. And I said, ain't this better? And
I slick forgot about that.
yes, yes. And here's the thing. And this is me keeping it 100 with y'all. I'm going to keep it 100. I love my kids. That goes without saying. That goes without saying. But when they get sick or they have to be out of school for something that's not like planned ahead, I have this internal struggle because like I'm a planner and I typically plan out my PTO anyway. I'm not like Melvin who never takes their PTO, but I plan it out and I space it out. So when I have to like cancel patients or anything like that, even when Melvin has, because we normally tag team, like I'm not always the one that stays home with the children, and so we like normally he'll do a day, I'll do a day, we both sacrifice, you know what I'm saying? But it's always a struggle for me. Is it a struggle for you to stay home?
Yeah, because especially it depends on which kid it is and how sick they are. Yeah, it's a struggle for me because I know what I've got to do and I got to get back.
But at least you can work from home, though. You can answer emails. You can do a lot of stuff remotely.
When it depends on what kind of, like that type of sick for Fallon wasn't too bad, but it's that sick where she's still super active and running around, and there is no such thing as me working. Like, so what ends up happening is I just wait for you to get home and I'll go upstairs and have to work. But yeah, it can be a struggle depending on how I'm approaching it though.
And see that these are the things that people don't want to talk about because you feel like you being selfish. I mean, me even saying it, like I feel selfish. And every time my kids get sick, like I actually be praying that my kids are healthy.
Mm.
I actually pray that they are healthy because it's a shift for our family. We have to rearrange things. And like I honestly, like I remember that day waking up really kind of feeling like, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? Because it's like, okay, now we got to figure out, okay, are you going to stay home or am I going to stay home? Okay, if I'm going to stay home, how I'm going to rearrange my patients. Okay, if you stay home, I still feel obligated to come home as soon as possible because I know that you're not going to be able to do work. So it's not like I'm just cruising and coasting. Like I'm literally trying to hurry up and get done with my day. And then I get home and I got this baby that want to just lay on me the whole time, so I can't do anything at home when I get home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the way that I kind of look at it, and I've gotten better at this because, I work hard and I have kind of prided myself on really working hard. And I don't know when it was, but it was some point in time when I started thinking more about, I mean, I could give myself, like sometimes I got to slap myself back to reality and be like, no, I'm staying home with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just it. You know what I'm saying? My child is sick, or my child has it. Like when they have field day, I'm busy, but I'm going to field day because I give my job a lot. And at the end of the day, if some budget thing happens, they could chop me off tomorrow if they want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But the times, your family, you just really can't get it back. But that's a difficult line to straddle. I was talking to Eris a couple days ago. It's a brother we go to church with, and he had been out not working for a while and staying home with the kids, and he just recently went back to work, and you know you start to think about, like, it's a struggle when you have two parents that work. You know what I mean? Because that could pull on you from kind of balancing being excellent at work and working hard and doing all those type of things with not overdoing it and slacking out on your family. I can only imagine as a mom, it'd be even more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was praying because I always, it's like you can't, there's no answer. There's no right thing because
Hmm.
on one hand, you feel like, man, I got this work I got to do. I wasn't planning this. And okay, there is going to be some shifting. But then on the other hand, you feel guilty for even thinking about that stuff because it's your kid and they're sick,
Hmm.
And on me, there's another layer because I am a nurse practitioner. And like, I want to be the one that takes them to, the doctor and all that stuff like that, and then I got to a point where like, I literally had to make myself just pray in gratitude because it's like, okay, Kim, be thankful that you and Melvin have jobs where y'all have, like, we have options. Melvin can work from home. You have a job where you have seniority. You if you don't work from home, you can just take off.
Hmm.
I have a job where I can rearrange my patients. And that was exactly what ended up happening. Like, I ended up calling all of my patients for that day and just basically telling them like what happened, and I rescheduled them personally in just different holes in my schedule. And I have that luxury of doing it, and I know that there are some people, like, if they miss work, they miss work.
That brings up a good point, or I guess a thing to look at. I think we can always get into this place of like forgetting how good we have it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could start complaining about things, and really you're complaining about stuff that somebody else would kill for.
Yeah.
You know, like you lose a job or something like that, or you lose a whatever it is. But you don't look at it's like the glass half empty mentality, and we can all get into those places, I think, to where I could complain about anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can complain about being overworked. I could complain about whatever it may be, but
Mm-hmm.
these things 5 years ago, I was praying for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I think for me, there's another stress when our kids get sick as well, because like one of my first jobs as a nurse was at a children's hospital, and I worked in the ICU, the NICU actually. And, ignorance is bliss. It's really bliss because like my mind, when my kids get sick, my mind always goes to the worst case scenario. And so I'm on edge. Like I really cannot 100% like rest, you know, and it's just a stress. It's just a stress for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to stay ahead of whatever's going on with them. And so that day, I guess that was that Tuesday when Fallon woke up. She was really, really hot. And, of course, kids, anyone that has children, your kids act a certain way when they're sick. They're lethargic, fatigued. Our kids, they're thumb suckers. they wake up sucking their thumb if they're sick. You
Right.
know, our children, both of them, wake up very jovial, happy, playful, you know, and that just was not her. You know what I'm saying? So we knew right away that she wasn't about to be going nowhere. And, you know, it's kind of like a common thing across the board, no matter where you stay or live, that if your kid has a fever, then they can't return back to school till they're 24 hours without a fever. So we knew at least even that. And so I just went ahead, called the doctor. Melvin's the one that stayed home with her the first day, but I ended up staying home with her the next day. And she ended up being fine. Like Melvin took her in. I mean, our pediatrician is awesome. She's very aggressive. She ran a battery of tests. It all came back good. And she just, what did she say it was?
She said it was probably like just a little bacteria or something that could take 24 to, 72 hours to get out.
And that's what happened. We ended up keeping her home for 2 days, and she ended up going back to school.
Yep.
And then, meanwhile, as all of this is going, at work, we both had big things to happen at work. Like, wasn't it kind of crashing at your job a little bit?
Yeah, it was definitely crashing. It was so it wasn't necessarily crashing like it was there were people dropping the ball. And what was happening was that, I'm on the development team for those who don't know, and there were things going on that were not necessarily related to it. Shouldn't have been bubbling up to me as development manager. It should have been something with on another side, basically. Somebody else should have been to me. So you have your I don't know, some service that we have, right? Some AT&T, let's say we've got AT&T, and we have our cable box or whatever. And let's say some little bug or something happens and it won't operate optimally. So they send in a report and say, hey, developer, can you work on this and get this fixed? Now, that same developer is not going to, they don't his work is not going to be the thing that bubbles up to me as the customer as, he's not going to be responsible for customer satisfaction at the end of the day. Now, he's got to fix this bug, but somebody else has to be responsible for maintaining the attitude of the customer. Even if it's something that, if my cable goes out, the cable company is going to call me and be like, hey, we've got some people working on it, but, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do something to make sure that I'm not uneasy or whatever, as opposed to the only thing that's going to make me happy is this developer fixing it fast. That's just not realistic. That's not, to me, there's a whole bunch of levels that are supposed to be buffering the development team from that. And if everything is based off of, and I'm not talking about like catastrophic bugs, I'm talking to like something small, like just something small, you know what I mean? And it was starting to get to a point that if you're not into software, you may not get, but there's nothing that ever ships out without bugs, ever, nothing. That's why Microsoft pushes out updates. That's why your iPhone, they push out iOS 12. And then, every couple of, when it first comes out, it seems like every couple of months, they're pushing out new updates, new patches, new whatever, because there's some things that you just don't get until it's out
and
there
you
in the
can
world.
see how it's running and
Right.
stuff.
And so, but somebody else has to be on the front end explaining those things away. Hey, yeah, I know that your phone is moving slow, it's draining your battery. We're working on a fix for it. Just hold on. Somebody's out there creating the narrative and making sure people understand that everything's under control. If nobody is doing that and nobody is saying that from Apple and your battery's draining, they're in the back working on a fix, it seems like it's forever. And you're like, man, what's happening? And the fix could have came out at the same amount of time, but just somebody in the front end talking and easing the blow a little bit makes it easier. I don't know. I'm rambling about that, but that was the scenario I was going through. Was there was just it was making my job a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Instead of me just being able to work on solutions and get my team together and make sure, which I had already done ahead of time. So I'm ready for bugs to come out. I put that work in a year ago to make sure we had things in place that we could respond very quickly to issues, whether it was a long-term fix, just in a normal flow of things, or if we had to do what's called like a hot fix. If something is high level, we don't have time to prioritize. This is number one priority. I don't care what you're working on. This is the top priority, and we need to fix it, and we need to expedite getting it released. We have all those processes put in place, and so you do all that, and that's hard work.
Just to get the process in place.
That's hard work. And so it frustrated me, and I did all that, and I talked to my team like, I know it's hard learning these things and getting ready, but we don't want to be going through this again next year. And when we get to this year and we got all these things in place and people are dropping the ball on their end and it's still trying and making us have to be in scramble mode, like I can't tolerate that, because I know what it'll do. You start to put that undue pressure on people, and that's when you get bad work, and then you just get people. These are software developers, man. They'll bounce. They don't have to.
Yeah, they can work anywhere.
They don't have to be doing that.
And so on my end, what I was observing in Melvin was like lots of after hours logging on, being on the phone when, he typically is not on the phone, and it's like, I'm like, what's going on? Because that's just not a typical thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may check an email here or there on your phone, but like actually cracking open your computer, getting on the phone, having a talk. And then like I was in another room and I kind of like overheard you like talking and your inflection went up, and I was like, who is he going off on? And that's why I had to ask you, I'm like, everything okay?
Because that's what I was saying, because everybody was trying to like move all of these things, and I try to get like, I'm going to take care of the problem. Once we get to a solution, now it's time to talk about the problem. And I just like, I had to let it be. And I was like, listen, I am not doing this this year. Like, I was handling like front end support questions and stuff like that. And not saying that I'm above it. I do whatever has to get done to get the job done. But that's not my job. That cannot be the expectation.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's not the best use of your time.
Right.
If y'all trying to deliver a quality product. And there are processes there are departments built around this product.
Big department.
Like, I can't do what I am supposed to do. So that means I'm not going to be delivering the quality that I am used to. And then run the risk of somebody coming back talking about my quality ain't good now. Man, wait a minute now.
And that's what happened. That's what happened. And there was this narrative being put out that it would all come down to like some type of development thing. And so there was stuff happening where somebody couldn't log on, and then they would automatically just escalate that. This person can't log on. And then I would ask a question, hey, the thing that blew it out for me was they're like, yeah, this person couldn't log on, but I just, she couldn't reset her password. And so I just did it for her. But this is a problem. And it got bubbled up to me like, hey, we need to figure this out, because it's still, there's a problem going on. And I was like, well, let me take a look. And then I looked at a setting, and it just was a setting that wasn't set correctly on the admin side. Nothing that I should even be looking at. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is what I'm talking about. And that's when I just lost it. I was like, this is unacceptable, man. Like, if I would not have looked at this would have caused a 4-alarm fire, because if something gets escalated to me, I'm not thinking about plugging in.
Sitting.
Right. Because we're dealing with, it's not like if I'm front end support, if I'm a front end support person, then I'm going to ask those type of questions. Did you plug it in? You know what I'm saying? Those are the questions.
Yeah.
But by the time it gets to the top person,
you're thinking higher level.
Yeah, I can't be asking them questions, because I'm not dealing with a lay person. I'm dealing with a professional who's supposed to be triaging all of that stuff before it is escalated to me. And I just was like, this is unacceptable, man. And I had to, dial myself back, and because I was just like, I'm at the end of the day, what can I do? And so I just came from the approach of like, I let her, like, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm going to let y'all know that take that how you want to take it, but that's not going to be my job description.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here for. And if that becomes it, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, let me go ahead and prepare myself so that I can, while I'm having to go through this storm, let me go ahead and I became more of a solutionist. Like, I started going out and talking to the different teams instead of like going through their manager or whatever else and have to convince them. I just start walking up to people and being like, hey, look, this is what we got to do. So just taking control instead of trying to be politically correct or whatever, because otherwise I'll just be yelling.
Yeah.
But
so all of this is going on with Melvin's job. So then what happens with me at my job? Now, mind you, Monday, we real busy with the girls. Dental appointment, trying to get through the school traffic, get through, after work traffic, at a dentist office all day. That day, that was a Monday. I get a text from my boss, well, my old boss now, and said that I have been randomly selected for a random urine drug screen. Got to do that within 48 hours. So I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, I got to do it because otherwise I'll get fired if I don't. And so, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to do it. And so, of course, that comes with paperwork and having to register and then having to figure out where a site, like an approved site is. And good for me that it was like over there by where our pediatrician was. And so Monday, Tuesday, when Melvin is at home with Fallon, they ended up putting a collection urine bag on her. And when I got home, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and run this back up to them, and so they can test it, And had I had been thinking ahead, I could have went and got my urine screen done then, because it literally was walking distance from our kid's pediatrician. But because I had just gotten that request that day, our baby had been sick, I was like, okay, I'm going to deal with that when I get a minute to sit down. I done got this email while I'm out in the field, so whatever. So the next day, which is Wednesday, is when I stay home with the baby, and I get it all set up, and I get this bright idea like, well, as long as she is okay, and she's not like sick, because like her temperature was coming down. She was still not herself. But I'm like, I could get out and run a quick little errand with her. So I got her up early, got our oldest off to school, then got me and the baby ready, head over to LabCorp. And this is another one where I was like, I had the choice to just be like, are you going to get mad, Kim? Or are you going to have a good attitude? Like, I had a choice. I'm trying to get up in the door with my baby stroller. The wheels get caught up. You know that stroller, the little green one, you know how the wheels get caught up? I'm trying to come around the corner. I'm opening up the door and I see all these people in the waiting room. Don't not one person get up to try to help me to hold it. Y'all see me struggling with this door and this baby carriage. I just wanted to turn to everybody. Thank y'all for helping me. But I didn't do it, So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Maybe they felt like I could handle it. Go over to the little kiosk. And here's where God is good, because all this time while I'm struggling and all this stuff, my baby just sitting in the stroller, just chilling. She just chilling.
Angelic.
Just angelic. She ain't saying a word, a mumbling word. So I get myself checked in, all that stuff. Finally get my baby over to the corner. We sitting down, and I'm just like, okay, we just sitting here. I get called back up to the window. Mrs. Ellis, you taking a urine screen, right? Yes. Well, you can't go back there with minors, and she's too young to stay back out here in the in the waiting room, and I'm thinking, okay, she can't just go into the bathroom with me, because I'm like, that's why I brought the stroller in, because I'm just gonna keep her buckled in. And they was like, no, ma'am, she can't. And I was like, you know what? Just give me my papers. What time y'all close again? Oh, okay. I'll be back. And that was another moment where I had to say, you gonna get an attitude, Kim? Or are you going to be good in this situation? And I said, you know what? I'm going to be good, because this was not even planned for me to come up here. I was planning on coming up here on Thursday. And so I get home, and I mentioned that my boss that had contacted me is my old boss, right? Because at the time he was my current boss, but he ended up getting a promotion, and there has been transition of management. So everybody that's been on my team is now transitioning to a new manager. So all of that within itself is stressful, because not only am I having to like make sure I finish up loose ends with him, I'm also trying to make sure that with my new boss that I'm touching base with her as well. And I want to say that Tuesday night, my old boss had a last conference call with us at 8 o'clock. And all of this is going on simultaneously. Melvin's having his issues getting on the phone 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I'm on conference calls 8 o'clock at night, getting up, taking care of sick kids. And mind you, our oldest, she getting prepared for a musical. So we having to run lines with her, do homework with her. And also, on top of that, I started a 9-week online course for diabetes education. And so I had to read over 100 pages of material. And honestly, Melvin, it was God that got us through last week. It was God. And come Thursday, which you had to go to practice. So, because typically on Thursday, Melvin has to go to worship practice from 7:30 to like 9. Normally, you don't get home to about 9:30. And then get up and go to work the next day. And on Friday, I just was like, I'm so pooped. I'm not doing nothing but what I want to do. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you know, uh, it is kind of, it's funny as we go through times like this, and we can sit back and reflect on it now, and then even think about how we would handle these things in the past. This really is a partnership, you know what I mean, as a husband and a wife, and really just trying to bounce stuff off, you know what I mean, making sure that a thing I feel like we've grown in is not really looking at who's doing what as much. I mean, of course, we still struggle with that, but
Yeah.
you know, I think the biggest enemy to a smooth, like to handling busy times or issues or troubles or hardships or whatever smoothly, is like internal fighting and not being, not functioning as a unit. An example is, if you start to think about like who's busier. And I remember we used to do that a lot. Like I come in and be like, "Phew, I'm tired," and you'd be like, it would almost be like a one-up type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm tired too. Instead of me saying, "Whew, I'm tired," you were like, "Oh, what can I do?" Or vice versa. And just being able to accept, you know what, we both tired, so we're not going to be able to do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
We're going to have to settle with D. You know what I mean? We're going to have to do one of these things.
Yeah.
We can't do it all. And really just trying to work together in that. I'm glad that that's one area that I see that we've grown in and that I really want to pay more attention to. And I think for anybody listening, as a husband and wife, I think you always got to kind of evaluate, are you your own worst enemy during those times? Are you fighting against y'all's success? Because I can definitely point that out in our lives where we have been combating our own success when it comes to situations just like this,
Yeah.
stressful situations, and we make it more stressful instead of just you know, just trying to work together in yeah, just trying to work together and respecting one another's workload. The other thing I do think is that we have kind of learned how to persevere together, where we're more aware of when somebody is tapped out.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I don't have to ask. We just kind of know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
this person needs a break. Let me take the kids, or let me do this or that.
Because I want to say that like, when I came in on that Monday, and like literally, normally I get home before everybody, and I at least have, I don't know, maybe an hour or more to be able to decompress, or at least be able to run errands or start cooking or something. Well, I mean, this particular day, I mean, when we took the girls to the dental appointment, I mean, I still was in my uniform, and like I really didn't have any time to do much of anything. And I remember coming in and just telling Melvin, like, oh my gosh, and let me tell you what else. I got to do a urine screen this week. And we got to run these things with Farrah and all this stuff. And Melvin was like, you know what? I can do her lines with her, and it was just like, you get in where you fit in. And where I feel like victories were won was like, for one, let's talk about how God lightened loads. Like, so it was very clear where we needed to cut from our week. Cause
Yeah.
and I love you guys, but the podcast was put on the back burner. That was one thing. And it was very clear that, like, okay, we needed to lean into our family. Something else, we've also told you guys that we normally get with a couple on a monthly basis. Well, we had to reschedule that time because the wife went on a mission trip to Haiti. And so when she got back in town, she reached out to us, asked if she could meet on this past Friday. And it was like, well, no, it's very clear we can't do that because we've been going nonstop. We're going to need some time to
Realign.
realign. And so Friday, we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. And then, one of the things I can say God did for me was, for one, he lightened my load with my patients. Like, I actually had patients to cancel without me even, so I had days where I had less patients than normal. So I was able to get home. And because of that, I mean, I just realized in this moment that I was able to cook a lot last week. You realize that? Like, I was able to
You were.
I was able to cook a lot last week. Me and Melvin have switched roles. Now he does the clothes, the laundry, and I do the dishes. And I was able, let me tell you something. I'm gonna have to get you some plastic plates because the dishes don't never go away. But anyways,
I told you, baby.
they'll never go away. And I was cooking like I wasn't about to wash no dishes. I was like, golly, who gonna wash? Oh, that's me. I gotta wash the dishes. And so, but I washed the dishes multiple times. I had time to do that multiple times. We were able to get our child ready for her musical that happened yesterday, which was Monday, and she did a phenomenal job. And our daughter, the youngest daughter that was sick, she really didn't, this sickness wasn't the worst sickness. We just had to really get her afebrile. And she wasn't as, outside of that first day, I don't think she was very clingy. And she still played with her sister and stuff like that. And that allowed me to be able to like get stuff done around the house.
Yeah.
And I was able to do a lot for SoulSense Ministry and stuff like that while she was sleeping. I got a lot of blogs done and all that stuff like that. So there were things that still kept moving, even though, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then on Friday, I was able to run 7 miles. Woohoo!
Man, I need to start running. But yeah, I think one cool scripture, that I wanted to share, and this is one that Gordon shared this weekend, and I think it kind of fits here. And it's Psalm 37:25. Says, I was young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. They are always generous and land friendly. Their children will be a blessing.
That's
And,
good.
you know, I think that sometimes we can get so overwhelmed with what's going on. And I think it could be because we forget like those promises. It's kind of like what I said before, where I said we could get into to situations where we're looking at the glass half empty all the time, instead of at the end of the day, God is in control, and He is not going to let us get too far.
Yeah.
And you got to be, when you forget that, it makes you make bad decisions. It makes you get more overwhelmed because you're trying to overcompensate. You won't scale back where you have to, for me at least. When I start getting overwhelmed with the things that are going on in my life, whether it's at work or home or whatever, I can start to try to, like I said, overcompensate and either try to do everything or just shut myself off and be like, nope. But if in the midst of all that, I stay focused on the fact that like these things that I can't control that are coming at me, God can still control. And remember this psalm, it said, I was young, now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken. You know what I mean? And or their children begging bread.
Yeah.
And in a nutshell, that's just a perfect way to say that, God is in control and He's going to take care of you through this situation.
Yeah.
And that just takes a lot of the burden off of us when we think like that. I do wish we would have been in more prayer together through this week. I think we'd have been even more high stepping, but hey.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yes, there's always room for improvement, but a wise man that we love and know had told us one time, when you have victories, you gotta lift them up. And I think as we were going through the week, we were like in go mode.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're in go mode, a lot of times when you're in go mode, you don't really think about what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just like, okay, I got to put the hand to the plow. But almost probably like Thursday, I was like, you know what? We killing this week. Because I know for myself, there were a lot of things that happened throughout the week that in the past would have been triggers for me.
Yeah.
We would have been in a lot of arguments. I would have been fussing at everybody. I would have been frustrated. I would have been overwhelmed. I would have created an environment that would not have been pleasant. And, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I can honestly say, and I know this is really weird for anyone to do. It's really hard to like big yourself up, but I would have to say I am proud of myself because even I don't remember either one of us complaining.
No.
And a lot of this stuff was not because of the things that we did. Actually, none of it was. All of it was stuff out of our control, and I think that we took it as best as we could and we kept it moving, and then I was very excited about Friday because not only was I able to get a good run in and, get some good mileage in, but I was able to come home. I was able to go out to eat. And I'm the type of person, I don't have to go out with people. I can go out by myself. And I needed time by myself. I went out to eat and then I went to the outlets. I shopped a little bit. And I mean, I just had some good time to me, that was self-care for me, just being by myself on my own schedule, whatever that is, So I just wanted to I was telling Melvin, I feel like we needed to come on here and talk about this because this is growth. We have learned lessons and that has set us up to be able to win some victories.
Yeah. Hand in hand, baby.
Hand in hand. High five, man. Anyways, guys, that's all we got. And we thank you all for tuning in again and going on this journey with us. You just wanted to just kind of have a little conversation with you guys. Tell y'all where we were and where we've been going through. But you've been listening to the SoulSense podcast. I'm Kim, the hostess with the mostest, and your trusty wingman, Melvin.
Hey, hey, hey.
And we will catch you later.
Peace.